Have you ever had a double or a lookalike? In the era of social media, having someone that looks like you could just be a fun coincidence. But lore would have us believe otherwise. In the mythology of these twin strangers, tragedy could befall you if someone sees your double. Worse yet, seeing your own would mark your certain impending death. While the threat of being replaced by such an entity appears to be nothing more than a movie trope, should we all still fear the horrible possibilities of doppelgangers?
Welcome to 13 Degrees of Screams,
where we watch and dissect your favorite spooky movies.
I'm your host, Alex.
And Stephanie.
And this is a mostly horror podcast.
Each season, we will rank 13 movies on a scariness scale from, you guessed it, 1 to 13.
We will uncover the real-life myths and legends that inspire these movies, and tell you just how authentic they are.
This week, we get dizzy in Vertigo.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Vertigo.
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
How about you?
No. Which is crazy, having gone to school for film. Well, let me rephrase that. I've seen clips of Vertigo.
Oh, okay.
Especially with some of the effects that were used in some of the scenes throughout. I know a lot about Vertigo. I just never actually watched it from A to Z.
Okay.
Which, again, I went to school for film. So having not seen Vertigo, oops.
It happens.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was all right.
It got infinitely more interesting halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
The first half was like, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty self-explanatory. And I kept on forgetting, too, after a while, that it was all just dribbling down to the fact that he was afraid of heights.
Yeah.
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 Like, we go through all this crazy shenanigans of him following this woman and falling in love with her. And then he goes up some stairs and he's like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Wow. That would be me, though. I'd be like, oh, my God. I get on the third rung even the second rung of a ladder and I'm sweating.
Really?
Yeah. Are you afraid of heights?
Not really. Like, I don't want to fall, honestly, and I am clumsy. I could, but I don't know what you really think of, too, when you look up, when you look down at something from very far up. Are you just afraid of falling?
Me?
Is that it?
Oh, yeah, so a lot of people say it's not a fear of heights per se, it's a fear of falling. I just get incredibly, nervous and my heart starts racing and I start sweating profusely. Which is weird because I'm fine on roller coasters and stuff. And again, I think it goes back to I feel secure in my seat. I think they're kind of right. It's not a fear of heights per se because I've been on Millennium Force and Top Thrill Dragster and love it.
Yeah.
But I start climbing a ladder, forget it. The one place I worked, it was that media company and we did weddings, and this one time they had me go on this 20-foot ladder and hang chandeliers.
Oh.
And I had to go above the top of the thing, and I had to hold the chandelier at one arm and tie it up with the other while being at the top of this 20-foot ladder. No. And I almost told them I can't do that. And then it was funny because some of the people who were also working on the wedding, other caterers and stuff, were looking at me is he okay? No, I'm not okay. It was terrifying.
Yeah, no, I would probably be it's different, just going up to the top of a building or something and looking down, but actually having to do work or whatever, or doing something that doesn't require you just concentrating on standing and being there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay in a building. I think if I'm close to the window and all I see is down, I get a little nervous, just inside. But yeah, literally by the time I get to the third rung of the ladder, I start panicking.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll blame you. That's creepy.
Not fun.
Not fun.
But yeah, Vertigo is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
I think I was way more invested at the end of it than it was at the beginning, especially the midway point when we talk about the plot.
Yeah.
You know what it is, what happens, and you're like,
what?
What did I just see?
Yeah, it gets real crazy 2/3 of the way through, and then you're doing this third act and you're okay.
This is a whole different movie almost.
Yeah.
It completely shifts gear a little bit.
Kind of.
We had this on the 5 scale. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's not really creepy. You could just sit down and watch it with your fam and it would be fine. It's just it's more weird scenario to happen.
Yeah, and the first half more mystery. kind of find out what actually happened. And then the end is just like bizarre and just unsettling.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Not scary, but
yeah, it's
not right.
It's not like Dead Ringers creepy. It's just kind of like a mystery. And I mean, Dead Ringers wasn't like creepy, just also out there and weird, but in a different way to this.
Yeah, they both have that element of a man or a character kind of unraveling.
Yeah, I could see that.
And obsession.
Right.
Really ties those two movies together.
I could see that.
Yeah, this is another story of someone losing it a little bit.
Don't they all?
Yeah. Are you ready to hear about the movie background?
Yeah, go for it.
So Vertigo is a 1958 American psychological thriller film directed and produced by the one and only Alfred Hitchcock. The story was based on a 1954 novel. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. It's in French, but it translates to From Among the Dead by a French person. Again, I don't even know. Boileau,
D'entre les morts.
The morts.
I don't know if I'm butchering this or not, but and Boileau, Narcy Jack. I don't know if it's Jack though. It's like Narcejac.
Yeah.
Maybe Jacques.
Narcy Jacques. I know nothing about French, but
I know very little.
There's that. The screenplay was written by Alec Koppel and Samuel A. Taylor. The film stars James Stewart as former police detective John Scotty Ferguson, who was retired because an incident in the line of duty has caused him to develop acrophobia, an extreme fear of heights, and vertigo, a false sense of rotational movement. Scotty is hired by an acquaintance, Gavin Elster, a private investigator, to follow Gavin's wife, Madeline, who is behaving strangely. Dun, dun. What's going on with Madeline?
Yeah. What's up with her?
It is the first film to use the dolly zoom, an in-camera effect that distorts perspective to create disorientation to convey Scotty's acrophobia. As a result of its use in the film, the effect is often referred as to the vertigo effect. So yeah, that vertigo effect when he like looks down. I actually know how to do that. At least my version I learned, it's either when you like zoom in with a camera, like you could zoom in and pull out, or pull in with a camera and zoom out, and it creates a weird like distortion. Yeah, because of the focal length, it kind of like stretches it without actually like moving, even though the camera
makes it look real severe. Yeah. Okay.
Remember in Poltergeist with the hallway?
Yes.
Same technique to do that.
Oh, okay.
The Vertigo effect.
Interesting.
Yes. So Vertigo originally received mixed reviews actually in 1958, but since its release, it has been considered Hitchcock's magnum opus and one of the greatest films of all time. In 1989, it was one of the first 25 films selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the United States National Film Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The film appears repeatedly in polls of the best films by the American Film Institute, including a 2007 ranking as the 9th greatest American movie ever.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a pretty important
It's a big
movie.
deal.
It is a big deal. Attracting significant scholarly attention, it replaced Citizen Kane as the greatest film ever made in the Sight and Sound Greatest Films of All Time 2012 poll. It came in second in 2022. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 93% based on 87 reviews, with an average rating of 8.9 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, an unpredictable, scary thriller that doubles as a mournful meditation of love, loss, and human comfort. As of January 2021, Vertigo is one of only 8 films with a 100% score on Metacritic. 2 other Hitchcock films, Notorious and Rear Window, are also on that list. Rear Window is really good.
Really?
Do you know Disturbia? With Shia LaBeouf?
Yes.
That's a remake of Rear Window.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So that's all I pulled. There is so much information on this movie and like meanings and interpretations and so much stuff that you could look into this film. It is insane, but this covers the basics.
And now this is the oldest one. Last time we recorded a bunch of them, it was Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and now this one's the oldest one because it took place in the 50s.
In the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Before my parents were even born.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
What was this, 1958?
Mm-hmm.
My parents were kicking.
Were they?
Yeah.
My dad had 2 years still.
Oh, okay. My mom was just like 1, but yeah, they were here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Are you ready to dive into the plot?
I am.
After a rooftop chase in which a fellow policeman falls to his death, San Francisco detective John Scotty Ferguson retires out of fear of heights and vertigo. Midge, his ex-fiancée, says that another severe emotional shock may be the only cure. Can I ask you too, by the way, unrelated completely, honestly,
okay.
but is Scotty a nickname for John? I don't know why they keep referring to him as Scotty.
I don't know. I don't know, honestly. It's like one of those situations, like people at work, well, they'll go by one name, but they have a completely different name.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a middle name that we're not aware of or what. Like,
I don't know.
He goes by John, Scotty. They even talk about, like, are you John, Jack, or Scotty? Like what?
I have no idea. That's actually a good question. I didn't even realize his first name was John, really.
Yeah.
Just like Scotty. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. I also didn't realize Midge was his ex-fiancée. I thought she just liked him.
Yeah. And her character's so, like, not important.
Yeah. Like
there.
The scenes with her, I feel like they're trying to get at something, but it kind of falls on deaf ears, honestly. Like, they never address anything.
Yeah, it kind of just fizzles out. Like, it doesn't come full circle, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, you see her, here and there, beginning, middle, but towards the end, she's like, where did she go?
Yeah. And they have, like, this kind of, like, flirtatious, friendly relationship, and obviously they're ex-fiancés, but still, like, that's what I assumed going in. And then it seemed like she cares for him, and then he's getting segued by this whole situation mystery he's in, and then doesn't have feelings at all for her.
Yeah, she's like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, before we get to all that, Gavin Elster, an acquaintance from college, asked Scotty to follow his wife, Madeline, claiming that she has been behaving strangely. Scotty follows Madeline to the Mission San Francisco de Asís and the grave of Carlotta Valdez, and to the Legion of Honor Art Museum, where she gazes at the portrait of Carlotta. So this Carlotta person lived and died 1831 to 1857, by the way. And a local historian that Midge puts him in contact with explains that Carlotta Valdez committed suicide. She had been the mistress of a wealthy married man and bore his child. The otherwise childless man kept the child and cast Carlotta aside. Carlotta, who Gavin fears is possessing Madeline, is Madeline's great-grandmother, although Madeline has no knowledge of this and does not remember the place she visited. Scotty rescues her when she leaps into the bay at Fort Point.
She's just like, bye.
Just bye. Yeah, and I mean, at first I was like, okay, so this lady just going around shopping, doing some errands, and, like, going to see a museum. Like,
leave her alone.
Yeah, like, your husband shouldn't be that concerned.
Yeah, she's kind of just vibing.
Yeah.
Living her best life.
Doing what she likes.
And then that happens.
Yeah, then she goes to the bay and jumps in.
Yeah, maybe she was just going for a little swim. Mm-hmm. She just, it's nice and warm out, it looks like. And
yeah, and can we talk about this scene, too? Like, because it tries to skip past this, but let's acknowledge, too, that he takes her home, undresses her, puts her in his bed, and then hangs up the clothes to dry, which, I mean, that's nice, but also, like, you got your friend's wife naked in your bed?
Yeah, but nothing, like, it wasn't sexual in any way.
But
and
still, it's like an invasion of...
Well, here's the thing. She was wearing a robe, so I'm sure...
No, she woke up in the bed naked.
Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Just kidding.
He gave her the robe to put on when she came out.
Oh. I could have sworn she woke up.
No, because I saw her back when she sat up in the bed.
Oh, she was naked?
She was naked because he was drying her clothes in the kitchen.
Oh, then literally disregard everything I was just doing.
I just thought it was, like, a little too personal. Like,
yeah.
Or, like, call her husband. Let her husband do that. Like,
yeah. Your wife is, like, almost dead. She's kind of, like, almost drowned. Can you come get her?
Or take her to the hospital if it's that big of a concern. They'll undress her there. It's not weird there. Like,
yeah. Yeah, okay, no.
Strange man puts you in his bed in his apartment. He's like, I saved you.
Yeah, because I was thinking, because she obviously hadn't woken up since.
Yeah.
So he would have had to take her clothes off.
I guess, but still, like,
no, you know,
there's other people that could have done this.
No, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking she had changed herself, but that doesn't make sense.
No. The next day, Madeline stops to deliver a letter of gratitude to Scotty, and they spend the day together. They travel to Moor Woods in Cypress Point on 17-mile drive, where they embrace.
No.
Yes.
Don't do it.
The most coyest of necking and
necking.
huggies. And necking.
They're courting.
Yeah.
A married woman.
Mm-hmm. I was like waiting for the other shoe to drop where the husband would call and be like, hey, you know, you're following my wife, but I never said to kiss my wife. Like,
yeah. Excuse me.
You know, but nothing comes of it. So the next day, Madeline recounts a nightmare. Like, she visits him at his apartment, and so she had the nightmare again. And Scotty identifies its setting as Mission San Juan Bautista, the childhood home of Carlotta. He drives her there, and they express their love for each other. Madeline suddenly runs into the church and up the bell tower. Like, she runs like she's, like, all of a sudden, like, as if she's a video game, like, at, like, a standstill, and then the person playing just remembers, like, oh, I gotta do stuff, and, like, she just, like, runs away.
She's like the Flash. She's, like, 1 second just talking to him. She's like, you know what, gotta go. And she's booking it. Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Where are you going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she runs up this bell tower. Scotty, halted by his fear of heights, sees Madeline plunge to her death because, like, she runs all the way up the stairs and just, like, falls out the window.
Like, immediately. Like, you don't see her getting to the top and jumping, but it had to have been immediate. But you do see her body fall through the window.
Yeah.
And I will say that was one of the scenes I've seen before that genuinely is kind of freaky to see, the body falling.
And you see it, too, in the very beginning scene, too. Like, right before he retires, because he was in pursuit of a criminal with another officer or a detective or something. The officer tries to help him get on top of the roof because he loses his balance and he's like hanging there and topples over him and falls. And you kind of see him fall to the ground. And it's also upsetting.
Yeah, I think stuff like that, when it's kind of like at a distance, makes it freakier for me for some reason. Like, things kind of out of frame.
Yeah.
And it just happens. Like, there's no like fanfare. She just jumps off.
Right.
Like, that kind of stuff freaks me out. I know, like, this was like last season when we talked about one missed call, like when the things were far away, made it creepy. But then as soon as it was
they tried to do a close up. Yeah, it wasn't the same.
It makes it just happened, and that makes it like unsettling to me.
Right. An inquest declares her death to be a suicide. They do like a whole like investigation on this man, and they're like, he could have helped her. I mean, he did save her the one time, but like the second time, like, why weren't you inspired to go save her again? Like,
because I wasn't at the top of a bell tower.
Right.
Different
and I mean,
setting.
he did try to get up there. Like, he's just like, wow, it's high.
Yeah.
After a while.
He looks down, and that's when you see the shot, and you're just like,
Mm-hmm. Gavin does not fault Scotty, though, so that's Madeline's husband. But Scotty becomes clinically depressed and is sent to a sanatorium, almost catatonic. And this is where Midge kind of visits him, and she's like trying to comfort him, telling him that they can play like Mozart and stuff to help him feel better. And she tells the doctor that Mozart's not going to help him. He was obsessed and in love with this woman that died. And they're like, oh yeah, then there's not a chance that he will like recover completely. And then that's just like the end of Midge. Midge just walks out.
Yeah, that's like last time you see her.
There's also like a little scene in between too where Midge paints a portrait of herself as Carlotta. And I thought that was really odd.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like he thought that would be something he'd like. I don't know.
And he was pissed.
He was.
He's like, that's not funny.
Yeah, and I was very confused.
I was like, you're kind of right. That's weird. Like,
yeah, it makes it seem like Midge is kind of like obsessed with him a little bit. But then, you know, after this whole sanatorium thing, she's just like, all right, bye, boy.
Maybe it was like a red herring. Like, you were supposed to think that she had a weird obsession with him. When you find out, it ends up being he who has the obsession.
Yeah.
Not with Midge, obviously, but
right.
with her. And this is also kind of like the end of the husband, too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's okay. I mean,
no big deal.
It wasn't your fault. And then meanwhile, Scotty's like, oh my God.
Right.
What is happening?
Right. Yeah, he's like, no big deal. I'm probably just going to leave the country,
Yeah.
settle our affairs.
Okay.
I don't blame you. Goodbye. Like, all right, thanks.
I feel like,
I guess.
Yeah, none of this is the right reaction to any of this.
Following his release, and I don't know why he gets released, he frequents the places Madeline visited, often imagining that he sees her. One day he notices a woman on the street who, although superficially very different, reminds him of Madeline. She identifies herself as Judy Barton from Salina, Kansas.
It's weird. I don't think I would have recognized her.
Yeah,
she
pegged her as...
it's the same woman, but...
It is.
Just the hair change.
Mm-hmm. And, like, the different clothes.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think I would...
No. And he, like, knows immediately. Like, this is, like, close enough. Like,
he smells her. He's like...
Like, she has a similar face a little bit, but not, like, he must have been really paying attention.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me because that's the same actress. And, like, she just looks so different. Because Madeline had, like, almost platinum blonde hair, kind of, and the way she wore it was a little different. And then Judy just has like brown hair, and
it's different too. Like she wears it down, like curled down, and Madeline wore it like really up and like in these like spirals in the back. And even Madeline personally was like a lot more softer than this Judy. And Judy's like, "Why are you here? Like, why are you coming to this hotel? Like, you don't live here." Like,
right.
And a flashback reveals that Judy was the person Scotty knew as Madeline Elster. She was impersonating Gavin's wife in an elaborate murder scheme. Gavin took advantage of Scotty's fear of heights to substitute his wife's freshly killed body in the apparent suicide jump. Judy considers confessing to Scotty, but continues the charade because she loves him.
This is where it's weird. Like, this is such an elaborate scheme.
Yeah.
For what? Do they just need, like, a witness to make it seem like it wasn't, like, a murder? Like, because Scotty saw this happen? Like, it's an alibi almost?
I guess. Like, to see her run in, I guess. But...
You know what I'm saying? Like, why...
But there's tons of people there when her body hit the ground. Or, well, hit the roof or whatever she fell on. Like, a nun and a priest started climbing a ladder to go and check on her after.
Yeah, but I don't know if they necessarily knew who that was.
Or saw.
Yeah, because so now that Scotty got to know Madeline and saw her, quote unquote,
she can attest. And
he could be like,
and plus she said that weird thing, like, if I die now, like, go on loving me or something like that. She said something along that line right before she ran into the church and just yeeted herself.
Like, he just put a lot of faith in the fact that he wouldn't have climbed that tower. Because what if he did?
Right.
Like, what if he got over his fear?
He would have caught them, yeah.
Like, oops.
Yeah, so. It's a really weird scene, too. Like, it happens so quickly that, like, I told Alex in between recordings, like, I felt dumb watching it because I didn't realize that the real wife was there and that's who he threw.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, like, I don't know what I assumed, like a doll or something, but then I guess everybody else would have had to be in on it too.
Right.
But
like,
I wouldn't put it past him.
It was just a mannequin and everyone's like, wow, she has, like, no blood. How weird. They just bury a mannequin.
Maybe. But, like, you see Madeline run up there and he's struggling with the wife and just pushes her out the window, and then he just like takes Madeline and goes out a back way back down the bell tower while everyone's on the roof worrying about actual Madeline.
Right. You don't really know the reason why Judy agreed to this, right? They don't
money, I guess.
Yeah, I'm assuming. You also don't know why he's wanting to kill his wife.
Right.
Like, what'd she do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wait. No, he wanted... No, we do know, because she was the one with the money, I think. Right?
She was, yeah.
So he wanted her money.
He was controlling her accounts, I guess. That's what he said, or, like, at least keeping it for her.
Yeah. But in any case, freaking Judy. So it was her. I wonder if at any point he really talked to the real Madeline. Probably not.
I don't think so.
I think it was all her the whole time.
Yeah, because at one point, Judy says it was really simple because his wife was often in the country. So, like, she was probably only, like, in the premises when she died.
Yeah. I wonder, I have so many, like, thoughts, because I wonder, like, how Gavin convinced his wife to climb the actual tower in the first place. Was he just like,
well, hey, it's freshly killed body, so I know he snapped her neck before she fell.
That's what Judy said, but I don't know if that meant like he carried her up there.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Or he did take her up there and then snapped her neck. But
yeah.
Maybe.
It
would take a while to carry a body.
Yeah. Dead weight.
Mm-hmm.
He would need help. So yeah. I wonder if they were just like visiting and he's like, let's go to this bell tower.
Oh, look how beautiful.
Yeah. Anyways, I just have so many thoughts about that. But
don't worry, everyone. It gets weird.
This is where it gets a little crazy.
Mm-hmm. They begin seeing each other, but Scotty remains obsessed with Madeline. And it's weird. Like, he's, like, trying to get her, like, the exact same suit dress that Madeline wore when she fell. And, like, down to the exact detail. Like, he needs to find the exact type of dress it was. So he just takes her to a store and describes this dress to the salespeople until they find it. And
Judy's like, not about this, but he's getting like mad at her. Like, you're going to do this.
He's like, no, you'll do it for me. And I'm like, what is Judy's stake in this? Like I know she loves him because she's really Madeline, quote unquote. Well, we don't really even know her real name. Maybe her real name is Judy.
I think it's probably Judy.
Yeah. But, like, even if you did love somebody when they thought you were somebody else, wouldn't this kind of make you, like, turned off? Wouldn't you stop doing things for them at this point?
The 50s were a wild time, Stephanie, okay?
I guess. So, yeah, he asks Judy to change her clothes and dye her hair to resemble her, even, like, pinning her hair up the same way, like, and makeup down to the T. And after she complies, he notices her wearing the necklace portrayed in Carlotta's portrait.
Why? Why did she
that's like a give, right? Like,
dumb ass. Like, that's Judy's dumb.
So he realizes instantly the truth and drives Judy back to the mission. There he tells her he must reenact the event that led to his madness and admits he now knows that Madeline and Judy are the same person, and Judy was Gavin's mistress before being cast aside. He forces her up the bell tower and makes her admit her deceit. He reaches the top, finally conquering his fear of heights. Just like Midge said, like another traumatic incident would have to help him overcome it. And Judy confesses that Gavin paid her to impersonate a possessed Madeline.
Yeah, we didn't even really talk about that.
Yeah, there's like this weird theory, and I kept waiting for it to really happen. In the meetings with her husband, Scotty tells Gavin about all these places that she's going, and he tells him, like, oh, that makes sense because she was related to that woman in the portrait, and she's actually her great-granddaughter. And Scotty's like, well, if you knew all this, like, why you need me to do this? And he's like, well, she doesn't know. She doesn't know any of this, and she's doing all of this weirdly, and
she's possessed,
and making these weird far-off gazes and not knowing where she is after she comes back from them and stuff like that. Like, basically implying that her great-grandmother's ghost is possessing her. And, yeah.
It's not happening. That would have been interesting, though.
I kind of would have been into it, but it's okay.
It's okay. So if we really just like think about this, it's Judy pretending to be Madeline, pretending to be possessed by
Carlotta.
By Carlotta.
Yeah.
It's three levels.
And she begs Scotty to forgive her. He embraces Judy, but a shadowy figure. And I was like, who the fuck? Like,
it's creepy the way homegirl rolls up on him.
It's just a nun investigating the noise rises from the tower's trap door. And I was like, oh, here's Carlotta's ghost. And startling her. And Judy lunges backward and accidentally falls to her death. Scotty, bereaved once again, but cured of his fear of heights, stands on the ledge while the nun rings the mission bell.
The nun's like, I heard something. Like, the way she said it was so, like, give me creeps. It was creepy how she kind of just like, so that was another scary point.
But to me, she said it as if, like, gotta go up here once a day, make sure someone falls out this window.
She was, like, ready to ring that bell. Like, she's definitely done this before. She's like, God damn it, not again.
We gotta put some bars on these windows.
Seriously. There's like no safety precautions. Again, the 50s.
Crazy time.
And then it just ends.
Yeah.
That's how I'm like, oh, no really resolution here.
Not for poor Scotty.
They'd be so confused. Like, did this lady just die the same way?
She was just here.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I got news for you. He probably jumped after that. He was probably like, you know what? This is enough.
I thought he was, because he was kind of like just standing on the ledge, but then we cut to credits, so we don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's up in the air. What do you think he did?
I don't know. I think there's a good chance just because of how much, intricate detail he went into making her up to be Madeline and then being betrayed and still loving her as Judy. And I don't know. Who knows? Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Oh, boo.
Oh, boo. Oh, boo. All right. Do you want to hear about some of the research I did for this film?
Yeah, I'm curious because it just says research.
So, okay, this is why. I was looking for instances of something very similar that may have happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
My efforts led to nothing. I was even using ChatGPT and AI to help me get there. And this is what it said. It is important to note that dressing up as someone else specifically for the purpose of committing a murder is rare occurrence. Cases involving murder typically involve more direct motives such as personal disputes, revenge, financial gain, or other criminal intentions. So basically, dressing up as somebody in the attempt to kill them doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Is illegal and unlikely.
Right. When people dress up as someone else, it's for deceit, not murder.
Usually, yeah.
So I couldn't really find an instance where there was a murder, something like that. And part of me was faking death. But this wasn't a faking. It was in the sense of trying to deceive somebody.
Faking the identity of the dead.
Right.
But, yeah.
But that wasn't I'm faking death and I'm going to take the personation. It wasn't the same thing. So my thought was, okay, what's a similar instance of taking someone's identity and falling in love with them? And that led me to
dun, dun, dun.
Catfishing. I'm that is
exactly it.
That's it, is it not?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk about Catfish. I didn't really write a whole lot about it, but for those of you who never heard of Catfish, which I would be shocked. Well, first it was a movie by Neve Schulman about his experience with catfishing. And then they spawned a whole show that's still going on today from 2012 till now.
That's crazy, actually. I didn't know it was still going.
Yeah. Nick and I binge this shit.
I did love it when it was really in its heyday.
Oh, yeah. Well, so did you watch it when Max was the co-host?
The guy with the gray hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen Cammy?
No.
Well, we like Max, but we also, Cammy's fantastic.
We stand Cammy.
We stand Cammy. All right. But the term catfish gained popularity from the release of that documentary in 2010 and the TV show. It follows people who have online relationships but never met in person, and many episodes reveal that one of the parties involved have been deceiving the other with a fake identity.
Mm-hmm.
There's one specific episode I want to talk about where this girl faked the whole thing. She wrote in and made a whole story that she was being catfished when all of it was made up.
Oh.
Yeah.
She catfished herself.
Yeah, basically.
Just for attention.
Her name was Taylor, and she was saying how she was talking to this guy, blah, 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 blah. And in the episode, Neve, you could tell he, knows something's up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for day one, he meets this girl. And then she's like, yeah, this is the number that he's texting me from. And it's her friend's number that she gave Neve at the beginning. This is my one friend's number. He's like, have you not noticed this is your friend's phone number? And she plays it off like she had no idea. She's like, oh, I never noticed. Long story short, she brought them all the way to these people that were all in on it. There's 4 of them in on it. And they were acting, and she's fake crying. It's so cringy to watch.
Oh God.
But everyone listening, if you haven't seen this episode of Catfish, you need to go watch the one with Taylor. There's several instances of people faking a catfish to be on the show.
Do they get paid or no?
I don't know. I know
I know that they do a check-in on them afterwards, a month or so later after the whole meetup to confirm who the catfish really was or if the catfish was a catfish.
Mm-hmm.
So the only other way I could think of it is for celebrity or, just to be on TV.
Yeah, I think it was she just wanted to be on TV and she didn't think she was going to be caught.
Mm-hmm.
But she basically convinced these 3 other people to be pawns in this whole situation. And she did not give a shit. She showed no remorse. She was just like,
yep, it was me.
Yeah. And Neve was pissed. He was like, you're wasting everyone's time. Crazy.
Yikes. Okay.
But
yeah, I'm going to have to look that one up.
I'll send you clips. It's all over YouTube.
Okay.
So you used to watch the show?
Yes. So my favorite ones were ones where it was like clearly something was happening. Like when people believed, who was it? One of them, I believe it was a man believes that Katy Perry was in contact with him. And like
What?
he'd be like, well, she's on tour and stuff and she's busy. We just haven't hooked up. Like, obviously she's on tour for a year and a half.
Oh,
or
that's
whatever.
why?
And he's like, oh yeah, I'm sure. And it was during the Matt episodes. I know he was there. He's like, so you think Katy Perry is, reaching out to you constantly, a man that she's never met, even though she has all the means in the world to make that happen.
Mhm.
And she just keeps putting it off because, scheduling conflicts.
Oh my God. Yeah. So part of me doesn't know how true a lot of these are. Like,
Mhm.
reality, quote unquote, TV. I'd like to think they're mostly true
Yeah.
stories, but some of it's wild.
Right.
Like,
the real crazy ones, too, that I always feel bad about are people whose exes were catfishing them. And then they just do this just to either get back at them for breaking up with them or just because they're still obsessed with them or whatever. Those are the ones that made me feel bad.
that is actually an excellent segue to the Reddit story I found.
Ooh.
Similar to catfishing, but this is someone who found out their identity was being taken. So this was from 5 months ago, posted by JJ Carl Dog. That's the username. The subject was, someone is impersonating me online, advice needed. So it starts by saying, someone has been impersonating me on Instagram and Facebook dating, and God knows what else. I have no idea who it is. I didn't come across the profiles myself. Several friends have. They received follow requests on Instagram from a profile with the same picture and name, but no followers. Someone else matched with a fake profile of me on Facebook dating. I searched Facebook for a profile matching mine, and there it was. It had the same profile picture and name as me, but everything else was blank. This has all happened in the past few weeks, but I've had trouble with an anonymous stalker since the start of the year, and I assumed this was the same person doing this. I originally noticed an Instagram profile using a picture of me and a friend watching my stories in about January. I also received messages from a blank Insta profile too, but they all appeared to be different profiles. Since then, both my Snapchat and main Instagram have been hacked into. Someone has also attempted to hack into my other accounts, such as my Gmail and iCloud. The emails that tell me someone is attempting to hack into my accounts place them in different towns, but the towns are close to me. I really don't know what to do. I have no idea who the stalker is. People always suggest it's an ex or some romantic interest, but none really stand out as likely.
Yikes.
Right.
Ew.
So that was just like one of the instances I found of someone finding out that they were being catfished.
That's
like
scary.
Across
I don't
a lot
like
of
that.
I know, right? Could you imagine like just seeing your profile? Like, what the hell do you even do there? Like,
yeah.
Don't you do that to me? What are you doing?
Right. I don't know. I guess you could report all of them, but then you have to like provide the proof that you're the real you and they're not. And
It's like, look at me.
It's obviously me.
Use your eyes. We learned this last time. Use your eyeballs.
Right. But you'll like have to report their profile and stuff like that and say like this isn't a valid account or something. But yeah. And then there's nothing really to stop them though. Like as long as you have a different email, you can sign up for anything.
Yeah. There's also another instance I didn't really want to go into it because it got a little inappropriate where someone was posing as someone else, but posting like really inappropriate sexual content. Yikes. And like when they were searching this person's name, they were finding this and it actually prevented them from being able to get jobs and stuff. Because when they did background checks, they were finding all this like
that's awful
pornographic material and stuff like that. So the poster was just saying like it's really hindered his ability to like get a job or like stuff like that. So
there's actually a documentary about that as well. A guy that ran a site and basically encouraged people, like anyone that was mad at their exes or people that turned them down, just send in like any topless photo or whatever of them and then we'll blow it up. And like it would go live on this page to like millions of followers and people would lose their jobs and it was awful. And he got sued and I'm pretty sure like they had to have the site taken down at that point.
I would hope so.
Jesus. Yeah, the documentary is called The Most Hated Man on the Internet if you want to watch it. It's on Netflix. But yeah, it was real bad. And there were some girls too that were like, I never had these kind of photos, and they found out it was like somehow he was getting into their emails and taking like personal photos that they had never shared with really anybody.
Yeah.
They were just like only for them. And some had just had photos that were altered that weren't even them. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, that's like the one thing that like freaks me out about the internet, just like how the access to things like that.
Yeah, it makes me very uncomfy.
I know, it makes me uncomfy, but yeah, catfishing is the modern day impersonating somebody else to gain love.
Yeah. Hopefully no murder, but
no murder. That's not likely, Steph. According to what I find out, murder's much more straightforward.
Okay.
We don't.
Thank God.
I mean, well, you think about it. I'm not going to dress up as someone else to murder someone because they're going to be murdered. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess.
Or like even more convoluted, the story in Vertigo. Like I'm not going to dress up as someone else to watch them. It's like,
nah. It's a lot of extra trouble.
That's too much work. I'm tired.
You already got to cover up all your evidence and everything too. So to add like some weird shenanigan of dressing up as somebody else or whatever.
This is too much work.
Yeah.
Too convoluted.
It's a lot.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show and listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, giving us a 5-star rating is super helpful, and we would always appreciate it.
You can follow us on social media at 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we will see you next week.
There was a lot of driving in Vertigo. I got my driver's license last week, the one we always talked about, and you were so excited for me.
Something,
and then I go through the suburbs, hoping that you're still around.
I like that song.
I do too.